We'll get to the Jets, Giants, and Patriots debacles in a second, but the lead story, what everyone's talking about today, preseason basketball has begun.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and challenge that one.
And while the referee takes a second look at the play, we bring in our SPO rules expert, Evan Macy. Evan, what do you see on this, and how do you think it's going to go?
Well, it's important to take into account that when Matt goes into his reference, which is about both the NBA and the preseason, and you can see right here in the bottom left-hand corner, Matt is getting ready to make the statement. It's important to consider that the NBA just went through a lockout, and a lot of people are completely dismayed. And let's also remember that this weekend was a great NFL football weekend. I don't think anybody in their right minds was watching anything to do with the NBA. And here Matt Straub is about to blurt it out. You can see his lips forming the words. It's about to be spoken. This is probably a no-brainer. We're going to see what the referees have to say, but I don't think this is going to stand. I think it's going to be overturned.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field has been overturned. Nobody cares about preseason basketball. Matt Straub will be charged his first and only SPO timeout.
So, Evan, this was the call that you expected. What are your final thoughts on it?
Well, unfortunately for Matt, he's going to have to take the spot of the foul and try to redo this again and brainstorm and come up with something new. But it was the right call, and hopefully the viewers will appreciate getting rid of the unnecessary parts of Sports Page Online.
It wasn't a good week for our local NFL teams, but it was a great weekend for the area's high school wrestling teams. Joe, will start in Plainville, where both the Blue Devils and Bristol Central did well.
They did, Matt, at the 11th Annual Plainville Invitational. Both Plainville and Bristol Central wrestled against some of the best teams in and out of the state, with Bristol Central ending up taking the entire Invitational, winning first place in the team awards, followed closely behind by West Springfield, and then Maloney took third place. Bristol Central also happened to get two winners in their respective weight classes. Jerry Hoxha took the weight class of 182 pounds, and Connor Hayes won the weight class of 138. But that wasn't where Bristol Central got this victory. They got the victory over a very good West Springfield side by having wrestlebacks. They had 4 players take third place. 3 of them were able to win by pins, which is something that actually gives you extra bonus points, and that's how the Rams took first place. And then for Plainville as well, a young team, but Gallagher took his weight class at 195 pounds, and that was a big victory for Plainville.
And as you said, the Blue Devils are inexperienced, but as they get some wins early in the year here, their coach believes they're getting some, not only experience, but some much-needed confidence.
Rusty Spence, who's the coach of Plainville Wrestling, talked about 2 things. And the first one was about what the victory Jordan Gallagher had at this tournament actually gave for his players in terms of confidence. They saw that, oh man, this kid can do it. This is a senior. He's a leader on this team. So can we. But the other thing he talked about was the experience of actually wrestling against some of the better teams in the area. Plainville's going to wrestle against some L and double L schools this year, and they were bumped down into Class S in terms of state tournament stuff. So when they make it to the state tournament, they're going to be wrestling down a couple of classes from the experience that they're used to throughout the regular season. He thinks that's really going to help them. And Matt, another team that did really well was Berlin.
Exactly. After a terrible start to the year in which the Redcoats just got beat up mentally and physically by Farmington, they hosted the Pin Down Invitational on Saturday and did very well against competition from across New England, teams from Vermont, New York. Berlin coach Jim Day calls it the deepest tournament in the state, and the Redcoats did well, picked up some thirds and fourths, not a lot of wins, but some quality place-winning performances, and now he also feels the team's getting a little confidence and getting some solid efforts under their belt. Farmington, meanwhile, continued their solid week. They just destroyed another couple of highly ranked teams, and our team's doing very well on the wrestling scene as we head through a busy season to come.